Hello everyone, this is Shaduka here once again making another video, and this time I'm making just some quick thoughts on the latest Marvel series on Disney Plus called What If. And yeah, I just got finished watching the episode like about an hour or so ago, the latest one, the last one, which is What If Ultron won? And of course, there'll be spoilers for not only that episode, but pretty much the entirety of the first season of What If. And yeah, so it's just to get this started. I want to just, I guess I'll give my thoughts on the Ultron episode first, and then I'll later on like give my thoughts on the whole season and stuff. And then probably maybe give a ranking of like what I thought about the episodes. But yeah, so for the Ultron episode for this one, I absolutely loved it. Like I thought it went really crazy on the ideas and just like and one of the smaller implications it has for the MCU. So one of them I thought about was what's the name? Oh my god, I already forgot the name. But basically, Black Widow and Hawkeye. It's one of they're like the last like I'm thinking they're one of the last few survivors, if not the last two, in the entire planet of Earth. Because as Ultron in this universe, he won against the Avengers, and Hawkeye and Black Widow, they're just trying to find a way to defeat him. So they end up going to a Russian military or old Russian military base, and then find out that there's a secret base that Hydra made with the secret AI from the Winter Soldier. Basically, that was a copy, and this AI right here is the original or the last copy in the world. So they're thinking they take this artificial AI or this AI of the old Hydra scientist who uploaded his brain to the computer, take his AI and just upload it to an Ultron bot and see they could stop Ultron like that. Now, meanwhile, that's happening. Ultron took all the Infinity Stones. So basically, long story short, Thanos came out of a portal looking for the last Infinity Stone, and then Ultron saw it. Literally killed him instantly. Like it was so easy. Which I'll give a few thoughts on that pretty soon. But yeah, that happened. He got all Infinity Stones. Went across the universe to destroy everything pretty much, and then after that, he just kind of like lost his purpose because he kind of destroyed everything. There's peace. What else is there to do? But thanks to the power of the Infinity Stones, he's able to gain another level of consciousness that to the point where he's actually able to see the Watcher. And the Watcher literally freaks out of this like sight of this being of such power is able to gain the ability of awareness to understand like yeah there is this entity that's watching me and he wants to know what is this entity. So Ultron, he goes all about, and then he eventually finds the Watcher in this area which is like it's very crystallized. It's a crystallized area which I'm assuming is where the Watcher was has been watching everything thus far, and I'm assuming like if he moves to like a different space of the crystallized area, he's able to see another universe. At least that's just my guess. And yeah, so then Ultron ends up making it out, and then having a big fight. Now we get to see multiple universes. Ultron now has universe bending abilities and universe breaking abilities that go to different universes. Literally, like alters it within a single punch, and then we get to see more of the Watcher's abilities. That seems pretty good. That's pretty cool. Like honestly, it is. But to continue on, so yeah, they do go through all that. The Watcher pretty much is outmatched. Like he tries to fight off Ultron. He gives a good fight with his abilities. However, um, he soon realizes like this is a futile fight. That, like he's not really gonna win. Ultron is just a little bit too much for him. So the Watcher ends up in a cliffhanger ending, going to the oh my god, I think I forgot what it's called. Basically, the um evil Doctor Strange, if you will. He from the fourth episode, he ends up going to him and saying, "I need your help with this," and then they end up agreeing, and then that's the cliffhanger. That's the cliffhanger for this season, and I'm pretty sure, at least I'm hoping by next season's opener, we will get a continuation of, what this cliffhanger left behind. So, excuse me. But yeah, but overall, that this was an amazing episode. I give it like a solid. Like I don't really try to give rankings, but maybe like an 8 or 9. Like this is a pretty good episode. Um, Now I do want to address a few things because I did have a few the little discussions with some people online about the episode and some of their criticisms against it, in which a lot of those criticisms I agree with, and just one of them I literally just thought of literally right just now. But excuse me once again. So I guess to address one thing, has to do with the Thanos thing, which yeah, I understand why people may be a little frustrated with that, as with in this situation, Thanos has literally almost all the Infinity Stones, all but one, which is the Mind Stone. And Ultron in Vision's body is literally slices him up with his laser in half. And in that sense, like, yeah, I believe that. Oh yeah, Vision's laser could have definitely like blasted through Ultron. I believe that. And some people might ask like, well, why didn't you do that in Infinity War? Well, yeah, I think there's a simple explanation. Vision was injured during that time, and he couldn't really do much at all. And and now looking back in hindsight, that's a really good, well play from the writers, and also kind of concerning in the sense that like just how powerful Vision was really back then. Like he literally could end the whole movie, and then that does leave questions in the future for other characters like Wanda and Captain Marvel on how they're gonna handle their characters if they're still on the good side, and how do you create threats with characters of that caliber. So but anyways, going back here, like I said, I understand what people are saying with this. Like at least to me, thinking about it, it would have been nice to have um Thanos put up a bigger fight against Ultron. And maybe like even for like a minute, because in this episode we have like a quick cameo from like Captain Marvel for about 1 minute or so, where she like tries to defeat Ultron and somewhat gets close, at least somewhat, relatively. Watcher I think put a better fight, but yeah, she sends him to like the core of a planet and almost kills him, but Ultron showed that he was too strong for her and then defeats her. I think there should have been something like that for Thanos. Like even if it's not like a reality bending fight, which I feel that could have been like 1/3 of an episode at like that fight of Ultron with the Mind Stone and Thanos versus with the Infinity Stones, just them going head to head. That could have been like literally 1/3 of an episode all on its own. But hey, we didn't get that. But I do feel there should have been at least maybe a minute or so of Thanos getting in some fight. Like you could literally gone crazy with that, like with the Time Stone or with like the Reality Stone. Like literally, you got like so much potential right there. So I do feel that's a little missed opportunity, and it's just in the sense of keeping I guess keeping in the power scaling, if that makes sense, in line with what we do know with the main MCU. There should have been at least some fight there, so I understand that. And another thing right here, and just as the episode alone, and now this is one of the things where I feel it's more so the journey, not necessarily the destination. But this is what I just thought right now. So in this episode, there's also a minor subplot with Hawkeye and Black Widow. As I said before, they are the last survivors in this universe, or yeah, on planet Earth, seemingly. So they try to go find this thing to defeat Ultron. They do, they make the robot and all that. But then afterwards, and this is where I think some people might think it's a little cheap for them to do this. So basically, we get a reverse of what we saw in Endgame, where instead of Black Widow sacrificing herself to get the Soul Stone for Hawkeye, it's Hawkeye in this case who sacrifices himself, which very reasonably. I understand, why he would do this. He's tired of fighting. He's lost so much. He just doesn't want to go through anymore. Which, hey, you know, that's an understandable motivation for him to just do such a thing. He's done with it. So yeah, I get why he did it. Although I do feel, in a way, it was a little cheap. I don't know. I don't know if cheap is really the right word for it, but I get where people might think, yeah, you're trying a little too hard to pull on my heartstrings. I do absolutely get that. I personally liked the moment. I thought some of the imagery right there was great, but Yeah, so that was right there. But then also going with that, if you really do think about it, and I just thought about this a few moments ago. That subplot with Hawkeye and Black Widow didn't really truly amount to much, at least in this episode. Because guess in other episodes, like oh my lord, I'm trying to think. I can't really think of an example. I'm being honest. I just kind of feel that because that subplot, it ends off with Ultron telling Black Widow, um, or I guess the AI within this Ultron bot telling Black Widow, Ultron is not within the known visible universe. Basically, explain to Black Widow, yeah, there's something more out there, or hinting that to her, like, yeah, there's more out there. He's not within our universe. So that's really all it does, which already explains what we already knew within the episode. It just kind of leaves it there. Like, and I'm sure there's gonna be a little bit more probably with that in the future. Like maybe, well, going off the trailers, the Watcher and Doctor Strange more likely than not will go retrieve the other heroes. Black Widow, at least this version, will be one of them. So that of course, that's gonna have payoff. But we're just within this episode. I felt that subplot kind of went a little bit nowhere in the sense that yeah, like Ultron or this Ultron bot basically explains what we already knew, and then and Black Widow is just kind of sitting there. So yeah, it's not necessarily a huge problem. Like I literally think the rest of the episode more than makes up for it. But that is something I just thought about right there. But anyways, um, yeah, but overall, like I said, or even with all that in mind, I still enjoyed this episode. It was really great, really fun, lots of great action. It was good. I just loved it. But yeah. So to continue on with just the rest of the series. I'm just gonna get my full thoughts, or just a really quick summarization of what I think. So the first episode, I thought it was pretty alright. I kind of knew by comparison it was gonna be very basic, in which going back to it, yeah, it is kind of basic. Which hey, it's fine. It's a very great introductory episode to the concept of the multiverse, especially for new viewers. Which I think, yeah, it's a good introduction, and it's very it's very fast paced, which a lot of these episodes do kind of suffer from. Like some of them are fine, which I kind of felt this episode was the strongest in its term of pacing. Maybe that or the zombie episode. I kind of felt those were the most. Actually, no, I take that back. The Doctor Strange episode, I felt that and this episode were the strongest in terms of pacing with the relative fast pace because these episodes are quite fast paced. But going back to the first episode, yeah, in general, it's nothing too special, but it's not really anything unenjoyable. And I think for the record, there wasn't any episode I thought was truly unenjoyable. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have a bore watching this. I think the closest are just two episodes, which I don't dislike, but I don't really see myself going back to them anytime soon. But anyways, we'll get back to those pretty soon. But anyways, going to the second episode, which is actually one of them, is what if T'Challa became a Star Lord? And that episode, I liked it. Had great new ideas. Some of them, a little off the rails for some people, which I truly understand. Um, but just for what it is, I enjoyed it. But again, compared to the other episodes, I don't think I'm really gonna come back to this one. But it is nice to see or hear Chadwick Boseman's voice. This is probably the last time we're ever gonna hear it. Within this season of What If, which is unfortunate, but hey, but then I'll talk about actually one of his lines in the coming up right here. So on the third episode, it was what if the world lost its mightiest heroes? I love this one. This one was so great. Actually, I'm gonna check because I did make a tweet real quick about oh my lord, where is it? Right here. Yes, I made a tweet. This is like my third favorite episode. I love this one. Just how brutally dark it was in the sense that literally, yeah, it is what the title says. What if Earth lost its mightiest heroes like Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Hulk, all died before they're even able to form the Avengers. And it was like kind of a murder mystery episode where you're like trying to figure out who can be doing this. Like I literally had no clue until like the end. I'm like, okay, I could piece together who's doing this, but yeah, like I was just trying to wonder who is doing this, and then seeing the death of the heroes, like first Tony Stark, you're just like, what the heck? Like, well, why did that happen? And then you see stuff like Thor, he dies. What else? Yeah, Hawkeye, he dies unexpectedly, and you're just trying to figure out what's happening. To me, Hulk was the most brutal. Like Hulk, like when Hank Pym, which eventually we find out is the killer, like literally increases the size of his heart, literally ripping Hulk apart from the inside out. That is a brutal way to go. And just with all that, and then that climax of I kind of want to say that was Nick Fury fighting, but it was most likely Loki as a Nick Fury illusion. But see, we got to see just a little bit of Nick Fury action, which I do enjoy, and we got to see that. And overall, I just really liked that episode. I thought it was really great just seeing just a different scenario where the heroes died, and they kind of lost until Captain Marvel came, in the end of it. But yeah, so that was pretty cool there. And again, I think for that episode, even though I do enjoy it a lot, I do kind of feel it could have done a little bit more fleshing out in which, because we do know, because the one thing I'm thinking about that episode is that we see the result of that like nexus point, I think that what you call it, or that point in time where the timeline change, we see the result of it, but we don't exactly see the cause of it, if that makes sense. Yeah, like yeah, we do see like the Avengers, actually yeah, the Avengers dying. That's the result. The cause of this episode is um Hope Van Dyne dying in a shield mission. And as far as I can, yeah, as far as I can remember, in the main MCU timeline, Hope Van Dyne wasn't a Shield agent. So that means that change in this timeline is Hope Van Dyne becoming a Shield agent, and then Anne slash Orr dying in a Shield mission, and that's what leads Hank Pym to become the Yellow Jacket. So yeah, I would have liked a lot more fleshing out in that area of like, okay, what led to Hope becoming a Shield agent? What was specifically the mission? Like, how did that mission go? How did Hank Pym find out? What was his journey to become the Yellow Jacket? I would have liked to have seen all that. So I don't know. Maybe it might be explored one day. Probably not. But that's again, that's a minor complaint to overall a great episode. Again, it's number 3 on my list. But anyways, going on to the fourth one, which is, let me pull up the list right here. All right, so for the fourth episode is what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? Now this one, I don't really have much to say about it, and that's not to say I didn't like it. No, I did like it. It's just that I don't know. I think for the Doctor Strange part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm just not that invested in it. And again, that's nothing against this episode. This episode, for all intents and purposes, it's might be the best one. It's number one in a lot of people's list, and it's very deep. It's very emotional. Seeing Doctor Strange's journey to this downward spiral of just like trying to save the love of his life and then failing to do so because of a literal paradox. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff which I like to see within any Marvel property. Really, I like to see more crazier ideas like that. However, as I said, I'm not as invested with the Doctor Strange stuff as I am with the other stuff. So, all in all, I don't really have too much to say about this episode. It's a great episode. It really goes deep dive into Doctor Strange's psyche. But other than that, I don't really got too much to say about it. But overall, pretty great episode right there. Number 5 is What If Zombies? Now this one, let me looking at my list. Yep, it's my number 1, and I freaking love this episode. Um, it's just I don't know. To me, it's a great concept. A concept that I really want to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a long time, and to see it in What If right here. It's not exactly like the comics. Which I know some people understandably, they would have liked to see a few more elements brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but of course, the things are going to be changed. But for what it is, I do feel this episode is really great. Like a lot of people complain about the humor and stuff, which in most cases I do feel is a little bit overused. However, in this episode, for the most part, I think it was well tamed. At least for me, I think it was well handled, well enough. and we got to see more development for Spider-Man of all people. So with Peter Parker, and especially the MCU's version, this is our first name drop of Uncle Ben within the MCU. So we know for a fact that he exists, or at least he once exists, and of course is now gone. However, and then we also hear like his Peter's parents, which hardly gets ever mentioned in any like any Spider-Man media other than like the comics, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. The MCU is like literally the third major instance I could really think of that his parents were ever brought up. Yeah, unless you want to count Spectacular Spider-Man, which I think, yeah, I should count that. Briefly, they were mentioned there, but anyways, yeah, for this episode, I don't know. I just like how, again, how crazy so many ideas went with the zombies. Just literally, it's a fight for survival with these people. They're just trying to find a cure. We also got to see different interactions with other heroes. We got to see Spider-Man with Wasp. They got to interact. They had great chemistry. These guys are just there for each other. Um, what else? We also see. Oh my God. Oh, Agent. Not Peggy. Shit, I forgot her name, but basically the descendant of what's it called, Peggy Carter. She's right there in the episode, which I wasn't expecting there, but yeah, she's there for the ride. She's pretty fun to have. What's it called? Oh my lord, who else do we have in there? The Winter Soldier, we have him in there, and he was pretty cool to have. Like I'm thinking of like that little montage where Spider-Man was like recording and stuff like that, which I'll talk later. But I love that little brief moment of him, just like yeah, literally killing the zombie form of Captain America, and just the way the music goes and the line delivery, this is not overplayed like oh my god emotionally, which it probably could have been, but he just says like sorry Cap, is the end of the line. It's not like he doesn't care, but he has to keep on moving, and at this point we also have to understand, and I do kind of feel this is where people, I guess, kind of misunderstood a few things, at least to me. So I know some people were saying like, oh, Bucky should have cared a little bit more about Falcon dying, and which, yeah, in a sense I do understand why, because this is after Civil War, which they had at least a little bit of development there. But I think people don't also have to understand that this is before anything like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have happened. So this is a Bucky and Falcon, or mostly Bucky in this case, that has yet to really experience what he did in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So therefore, he never received any of that development. You have to put him back in the mind of like Infinity War. So with that in mind, yeah, maybe yeah they could have cut that joke off about him not caring about Sam, but I do feel the way the moment was handled with Captain America, I felt that was handled pretty well. Um, but going back to the whole, I think probably one of my favorite parts, at least the most humorous part for me of that episode, was that little montage of like Spider-Man slash Peter Parker making this little like survival video, and just the way it was edited, I just loved it. It's just so great. It was like pretty hilarious, which I understand. People wanted to be a little more darker. But I feel like with at least in that instance, especially towards the beginning of the episode, yeah, it's suitable. More towards the later round portions, yeah, I can agree. Some portions it could have, been done a little better. But overall, there's a reason why this is my favorite episode of What If thus far. And if you want something new, and even hey, Halloween's just around the corner. If you want a decent episode just to see for get that Halloween spirit, but you still want to have a good time, I feel Marvel Zombies, episode 5 of What If, that's a great episode for you guys to watch. Moving on to episode 6, which is I believe my second favorite. Yeah, it is my second favorite episode of the What If series. Now this episode right here, it's oh man, I don't even know where to start, honestly. I will say right now that I do feel that this episode, along with probably Ultron and the Doctor Strange one, really handled the fast pace nature of the show in a good way. In the sense that a lot, I mean a lot, does happen in this episode. Like Killmonger not only saves Tony Stark, that is the catalyst to set off that sets off everything else in this universe. However, Killmonger in this case still has his motive of wanting revenge against those who have wronged him and his ancestors in the past, and is literally just a man, a one man army going against the world. In a sense, you want to think about it that way. And to me, I think that's what really compelled me with this episode. It's just like, yeah, it's literally Killmonger just doing it by himself, trying to find any little way for him to get back to Wakanda and seize power. That's ultimately what he wants. And just seeing that journey, what he does, save Tony Stark, gain his trust, like build these robots to become an army, and then using that to, basically backstab the U.S. Army, and then join Wakanda. Just seeing all that happen and what he has to do and what he is willing to do in order to do that, like kill well, what would be War Machine, but he's gone, killing the Black Panther, T'Challa, um, yeah, just getting in Iron Man 2, Tony Stark, like in this scenario, like this is a scenario where Tony Stark wasn't able to turn good or gain a better um a basically his own character arc during Iron Man 1 because he was saved. He didn't get to go through being captured by the terrorists, and then you still have this very arrogant Tony Stark, and I think that very much shows in the one instance where he flat out says, "What if we make the arc reactor smaller?" But he says, "No, that's a dumb idea." But literally, in another circumstance, that wasn't a dumb idea because that's literally life and death. But in this instance, where that's not the case, he scoffs up the idea, which literally is a that's a game changer, or would have been a game changer for his universe otherwise. Which to me, that one scene right there really does show the vast difference of his character and what that character arc in the first Iron Man movie really did meant for the character. So yeah, just talking about that right there. But also again, going back to Killmonger, just seeing him going through that journey and then having him with that conversation with T'Challa during like that little like forest like type area where they're like that different plane of existence. Just talking right there, and T'Challa saying, "You're doing this for revenge. You're not doing this for the right reason." And then Killmonger so dead set in his motives, just not willing to budge, despite what T'Challa tells him. He's still willing to go through it. And again, some people do say like his motives were they make sense. I feel they did absolutely make sense, and just seeing him still going through all that, again, I found it pretty compelling. So overall, again, this is my second favorite episode of What If, and it's really enjoyable. If you want something to really take you on a ride of like twists and turns of just keeping keeping you on the edge of your seat, just wondering what will happen next, I do feel this episode is the right episode for that. Now we're almost right to the end. I didn't expect this to be this long, but anyways, yeah, we're going to episode 7. What if Thor was an only child? In which I think I listed this, yes, as my least favorite episode. In the sense that again, I didn't hate this episode. It's just that I don't feel I really enjoyed it as much as all the other episodes, and really and I think the one I enjoyed the least. Again, I did enjoy it for what it was, but again, for what is there, you know, it's all right. Again, along with Doctor Strange, Thor is not really a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I'm really that invested in. So just see that, I'm just like, it's okay. And for the humor there, you got some really funny moments. You got some great, see a few good scenes of like Thor and Loki, and seeing how they still would be like brother like. They will still have that brother like relationship with each other despite not being raised together, which is pretty interesting. And yeah, that was pretty cool there. And again, some of the humor of just Thor just trying to clean up everything, and I thought that was pretty great. But other than that, it's a pretty alright episode. It's something to have a little good time. You might see it here and there, but other than that, at least for me, I'm not really gonna revisit this one. But now we head to the last one, which I actually already explained my thoughts on that. So you know what? That's pretty much it. Um, yeah. So I guess with that, I'm just gonna end the episode right here, or this video right here, since it's already about 30 minutes long, and I don't want to keep it much longer than that. But anyways, um, yeah. But overall, I enjoyed What If. Not all episodes were hit me the same way as others, and that's fine. Not every episode is gonna be for everyone. But I do wish going forward that the writers of the series do lean in more toward the compelling aspects of the series, like um stuff like the Doctor Strange episode or the Killmonger episode, and still go with the crazy ideas, like with the Ultron episode, or what's the one, the something like the what if Earth heroes like died, stuff like that. I do feel if they go to more crazy ideas like that, in the sense that I do feel these what if episodes do best when they bring in either something really compelling for the characters, give you a big surprise which you didn't expect, but that also added with keeping you on your seat of what to expect, because I do feel that's the biggest strength of this series, that you kind of don't know what's gonna happen, and I do feel that if they keep on with those strengths, keeping again a compelling story, many twists and turns, and taking a lot more risk. Like some of these episodes were a little bit risky. I think probably the riskiest one, maybe. Well, again, that's very subjective. Not very thinking about it. Because something like what if Ultron won might be very boring to some of us, but something like, let's say, Marvel Zombies might have been like the craziest thing somebody you've ever seen. But at least for me, stuff like, again, Killmonger killed Tony Stark, and having that one event lead to something completely different, I think stuff like that is what this show really has to lean on to be great. You can have those comedic episodes like the Party Thor one, and maybe the T'Challa one. They're a little bit more lighthearted, but I do feel, again, the more deeper character centric stories, it was really brings out the potential of this series, which, hey, that's really kind of the Marvel universe, these characters, and seeing them go through their journey. I think they just take that and put the amount of care to detail into these stories. I think this could really be a great series. But so far, I think it has a really solid foundation, and I do want to see more of that good stuff than rather than the stuff that I really don't care about. But not that I don't care about, I have a little bit less interest for. But yeah, those are just my thoughts right there. But anyways, I don't want to keep this episode or this video long for too long. So that's it. I'm just gonna end it right here. Again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, you know, what do you guys think of What If? I'd like to hear your thoughts on the comments below. And if you haven't seen What If, I do really hope so you get to see it. Like, this is really a great series. And yeah, that's all I gotta say about it. Again, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you guys all take care.